The morning sun stretched long shadows across Fort Henderson as Colonel Sarah Martinez approached the main gate, not in uniform, but in civilian clothes. A simple white blouse, dark jeans, and practical walking shoes replaced the polished insignia most expected from someone of her rank. Her black hair was tied back in a neat ponytail, and a small leather handbag carried the only things she needed, her identification and official transfer orders. This quiet, unannounced arrival was intentional. Sarah had learned long ago that the true state of a unit revealed itself when leadership wasn't announced in advance. At the checkpoint, two young guards barely noticed her. Private Johnson, fresh from the academy and still riding the confidence of limited experience, leaned back with a cup of coffee in hand, complaining about the cafeteria food. Beside him, Sergeant Williams scanned the horizon out of habit, but not with purpose. 3 years at the gate had dulled his edge. Sarah noticed everything. The guard booth was cluttered. Cigarette butts lay near a no-smoking sign. The windows were dusty. Most telling of all, the American flag hung wrinkled, folded carelessly the night before. These weren't small details. They were symptoms. Fort Henderson had been struggling for months. Leadership failures. Declining morale. Rising disciplinary issues. The previous commander had been relieved after incidents that made national headlines. The Department of Defense didn't send Sarah here by accident. At 38, she had already rebuilt 2 failing commands. Her reputation preceded her, firm but fair, innovative but uncompromising on standards. Soldiers respected her not because of rank alone, but because she worked beside them and never asked more than she was willing to give. Still, her appointment had raised eyebrows in certain Pentagon corridors. Whispers followed her name. Too unconventional. Too modern. Not traditional enough. Sarah had heard it all, and ignored it all. As she approached the checkpoint, the guards continued chatting, unaware they were being evaluated by the very leaders sent to fix what they represented. "Excuse me," Sarah said calmly. Private Johnson looked up, irritation flashing across his face. He didn't stand. He didn't salute. His uniform was wrinkled, stained with coffee, his hair just past regulation. "Can I help you?" he asked, sounding inconvenienced. Sarah placed her military ID and transfer orders on the counter without a word. Johnson frowned as he read. "Ma'am, this says you're a colonel." She nodded. "But you're not in uniform," he added, confused. "I'll need to verify this." Sergeant Williams finally paid attention, taking the documents with skepticism. He read more carefully, and froze. The orders were clear. Colonel Sarah Martinez assumes command of Fort Henderson. Effective immediately. Still, doubt lingered. "I'll need to call headquarters," Williams said. "That's fine," Sarah replied evenly. "I appreciate proper verification, though a bit more military bearing would help." That line landed. While Williams made the call, Sarah scanned the checkpoint. Logbooks were days behind. Equipment hadn't been maintained. Personal magazines cluttered the desk. This wasn't just negligence, it was normalized neglect. Private Johnson shifted uncomfortably now, sensing something was wrong. On the phone, Williams's tone changed rapidly. Confusion turned to alarm. Respect crept into his voice as he began saying, "Sir," more often. When the call ended, he handed back the documents with trembling hands. "Ma'am, there was a communication failure. Headquarters confirms your identity." "Thank you," Sarah said. "May I proceed?" Before the gate could rise, Private Johnson stepped forward. "Wait," he said, stubbornly. "She's not in uniform. She doesn't look like any colonel I've ever seen." The silence was heavy. This was insubordination, born not of malice, but ignorance. Sarah didn't raise her voice. Instead, she dialed a number from memory. "This is Colonel Martinez. I'm at the front gate. Send an escort to headquarters." Both guards went pale. "Gentlemen," Sarah said calmly after ending the call, "in 5 minutes, senior officers will arrive. What happens next depends on how you conduct yourselves." Johnson's confidence collapsed. Williams snapped to attention at last. "Ma'am, we apologize." Sarah turned to Johnson. "What should you have done differently?" He swallowed. "I should have trusted my sergeant. And shown proper respect." "That's a start," she said. "But the real issue is assumptions. In this uniform, we judge by competence, not appearances." Minutes later, a black sedan rolled up. A major, a colonel, and the base sergeant major stepped out, faces tight with anger. Perfect salutes. Crisp uniforms. The contrast was brutal. Apologies followed swiftly. Disciplinary words hovered in the air. Sarah stopped them. This isn't just about two soldiers, she said. It's about a system that failed them. That moment defined her command. Instead of punishment, she ordered retraining. Instead of blame, accountability. Johnson and Williams were tasked with rebuilding gate security procedures themselves. They rose to it. 6 months later, the same gate told a different story. Spotless. Professional. Disciplined. Specialist Johnson, promoted, stood tall, delivering a flawless salute. Good morning, Colonel Martinez. All systems operational. Training programs developed at Fort Henderson were now being adopted across other installations. Leadership courses born from failure had become models of excellence. Fort Henderson transformed from a cautionary tale into a destination posting. Retention rose. Readiness soared. Pride returned. Standing at the gate once more, Sarah reflected on what leadership truly meant. Not punishment, but development. Not authority, but responsibility. Not fear, but standards upheld with purpose. This wasn't just a turnaround. This was soldiers' legacy, the kind of leadership that doesn't just fix problems, but builds people who will carry excellence forward long after the commander is gone. And that is the true legacy of command.